Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Imagine a fighter jet so dominant in the skies that its presence struck fear into the hearts of its enemies. This was the reality of the F-15 Eagle, a Cold War marvel that redefined aerial combat and left a permanent mark on military history. The brainchild of American engineers faced off against a formidable Soviet Air Force. The pressure was on to deliver a machine that could outmaneuver, outgun, and outlast anything the Eastern Bloc could throw at it. In its decades of service, the Eagle has stayed undefeated, and this mythical invincibility earned it the nickname King of the Skies. Join us as we'll delve deeper into the factors that made this aircraft a nightmare for Soviets and how it maintained the legacy as a symbol of American air power. Let's dive in. It was July 1967. The Soviet Union threw the aviation world into disarray by unveiling what seemed like a game-changing superfighter, the Foxback. Panic spread as the United States found itself without a match for this formidable aircraft. The Foxback boasted multiple long-range air-to-air and air-to-surface missiles, zooming through the skies at a blazing Mach 3. As the Cold War rivalry for air supremacy escalated, it appeared the Soviets had the upper hand. Flashback to the Korean War, where nimble F-86 and MiG-15s engaged in intense close-range dogfights. However, by the mid-1950s, technological advancements were reshaping fighter jet design. New radar systems and guided missiles led military strategists to believe that future air battles would unfold beyond visual range. Enter the F-4 Phantom, a massive jet laden with missiles and armed with a powerful radar. The era of dogfighting, it seemed, was over. Yet, the Vietnam War served as a harsh reality check for the U.S. Air Force. The lofty idea of engaging enemies from a distance crumbled amid the chaos over Vietnam. Identifying foes from afar proved unreliable, forcing pilots into risky close-quarter dogfights. The F-4, originally not designed for close combat, struggled against the more agile MiGs. Its guided missiles, intended for larger targets at high altitudes, proved disappointingly inaccurate. With no built-in gun for close encounters, F-4 pilots were left vulnerable. The Phantom's bulky frame and smoky engines made it an easy target for the more maneuverable MiGs. So the American pilots faced alarming downing rates, dispelling the notion that dogfighting was a relic of the past. Military planners hustled to adapt, retrofitting F-4s with pod-mounted Gatling guns and training pilots for the challenges posed by the elusive MiGs. However, the F-4 Phantom, conceived as an interceptor rather than a nimble fighter, struggled to hold its ground against its more agile adversaries. This was a message for the air combat community that the age of dogfighting was far from over, and it left the United States to reevaluate its approach to aerial warfare. So they decided it was high time for a change. They needed a new air superiority fighter, one that could outmaneuver anything the enemy threw at it. The existing ideas for the next generation of fighter planes seemed clunky and outdated, like trying to fit into jeans from high school. But there was a new player on the scene. In 1967, the Soviet Union flaunted a fighter that was nothing like the familiar MiGs. This bad boy had twin tails, a wingspan that could make your eyes widen, and engines that sounded like they meant business. Intelligence experts were on their toes, suspecting the Soviets had some fancy lightweight materials up their sleeves, along with top-notch radar and weapons. To make matters worse, the Soviets set records for speed and altitude, flaunting their new creation, the Foxbank. The Air Force was left scratching their heads. The current American arsenal wasn't up to snuff against this new Soviet superfighter. It was like bringing a water gun to a firefight. In a panic, after years of building interceptors and attack aircraft, the Air Force decided it was time to step up their game. They put out a call to the best and brightest American aircraft designers in 1968, asking for proposals to build a top-notch air superiority fighter. It was a race against time. The Air Force needed a solution fast before the Foxbank and its Soviet pals could dance circles around them in the sky. The stage was set for a showdown in the clouds, and the U.S. had to bring its A-game to stay ahead. The era of the next-generation air superiority fighter was about to take flight. In the late 1960s, the United States sought to redefine aerial warfare with a groundbreaking concept known as energy maneuverability. This mathematical formula aimed to measure a fighter's overall performance by considering factors like speed, thrust, drag, and weight. The task of bringing this vision to life fell upon McDonnell Douglas, who secured the contract in December 1969. Their tireless efforts, totaling 2.5 million man-hours, resulted in the birth of the F-15 Eagle. This aircraft wasn't just a plane, it was a strategic masterpiece designed for absolute dominance in any airspace. Equipped with two afterburning turbofans unleashing an impressive 48,000 pounds of combined thrust, the F-15 could break the sound barrier while ascending vertically. Boasting a top speed surpassing Mach 2.5, it proudly held the title of the fastest US-made fighter jet. The engineers took a different approach from previous designs, opting for low wing loading instead of reduced wing area, coupled with a high thrust-to-weight ratio. This combination delivered unparalleled maneuverability. To maximize situational awareness, the cockpit was strategically positioned high in the fuselage, offering a commanding 360-degree view. The digital heads-up display seamlessly integrated with radar and avionics, ensuring pilots had the upper hand. For offensive capabilities, the F-15 carried a formidable arsenal of 8 Sparrow and Sidewinder missiles beneath its wings and along the fuselage. In close combat, a 20mm Gatling gun could unleash a staggering 6,000 rounds per minute. To enhance survivability, the engineers implemented triple redundant hydraulics, low vulnerability flight controls, and a reinforced airframe. The F-15 prototype was unveiled in June 1972, a mere 3 years after receiving the green light. Rigorous testing followed, pitting the F-15 against the best the Air Force had to offer. Facing off against the hefty F-4 Phantom, the F-15 displayed assurance and control, easily outclassing the Interceptor. Even against the nimble F-5, used to simulate more agile foes, the F-15 proved its dominance. In engagements ranging from beyond visual range to close dogfights, the F-15 consistently held a decisive advantage. With an undisputed air superiority fighter in their arsenal, the Air Force was poised to send a powerful message to the Soviet Union. The F-15's arrival came hot on the heels of the Soviets setting new time-to-climb world records with the MiG-25, now poised to be erased by the might of American innovation. This stripped-down Eagle took to the skies in the cold, dense air of North Dakota, defying expectations by soaring to altitudes reaching 30 kilometers, right up to the edge of Earth's stratosphere. What's even more remarkable is that the F-15 not only broke records previously held by the formidable MiG fighter, but shattered them by an astonishing 25%. The Air Force had struck gold as the F-15 Eagle emerged as a triumph, marking its place as one of the most successful fighter development programs in history. By 1974, the fighter was in full-scale production, with the U.S. Air Force ordering over 400 early F-15A and B models. Even America's allies like Israel, Japan, and Saudi Arabia were eager to get their hands on this new marvel of aviation. The F-15's global debut was imminent, especially with the first units deployed at West German air bases, strategically positioned near the Soviet Union. It was just a matter of time before this cutting-edge fighter faced off against its Soviet counterpart, the MiG-25. In 1976, the long-anticipated encounter took place, but it wasn't the showdown the Americans were expecting. Lieutenant Viktor Belyanka, a daring 29-year-old pilot with the Soviet Air Defense Forces, decided to escape the Soviet Union covertly flying his MiG-25 from a Soviet airbase in the Far East to a civilian airport in Japan. After over a decade, the Americans finally had the chance to closely examine the elusive Foxbat down to every last detail. Despite their similar size and appearance, the MiG-25 and F-15 shared almost nothing else in common. This unexpected encounter marked a fascinating chapter in the ongoing Cold War competition between the United States and the Soviet Union. Built from heavy nickel-steel alloy, it weighed nearly twice as much as the F-15, hindering its agility and maneuverability. The MiG-25's primary role was as a high-altitude interceptor, excelling at incredible speeds to catch enemy bombers, but lacking in dogfighting capabilities. In contrast, the F-15 proved to be a superior fighter, capable of higher G maneuvers and equipped with advanced avionics and radar. The MiG-25's weaknesses became evident during encounters, leading to F-15 victories. Over the years, the F-15 established an unparalleled record with over 100 victories without a defeat, becoming a vital asset to the U.S. Air Force. No doubt, the F-15 evolved into a versatile aircraft, not only excelling in air superiority, but also adapting for ground attack missions that made it the most feared jet of its era. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and watch the next video as well. See you again.